When two fighters step into the boxing ring and the bell rings, you know you're in for some entertainment, and that's all it is, right? Obviously, in most fights, the competition is only done in the name of the sport. There's no bad blood between the fighters. However, sometimes boxers really do hate each other. Today, we're going to look at some distinctively real-life feuds in the boxing world and go into detail on which fighters really do hate each other. Before we get started, please remember to leave a like under this video by hitting that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss a single one of our brand new videos, and turn on the notification bell to be alerted of any of our content. Let's dive into it. First, let's talk about Manny Pacquiao. The Filipino-born fighter is one of those names that everyone knows, whether you're a fan of boxing or not. He's had a career long enough to have developed a few enemies in and out of the ring, and one of those in particular is a nemesis he has had to face more than one time. Juan Manuel Marquez from Mexico is possibly Pac-Man's longest rival. Their rivalry started all the way back in 2004 with their first fight and lasted 8 long years. It's hard to know who really came out on top with such a long history, as they've had 4 incredible fights over 2 different weight classes. Between the 2 fighters and 4 fights, there has been 1 knockout, with the other 3 fights being decided on points. The last time the 2 came to blows was in 2012, with Marquez landing the fated knockout blow on Pacquiao in the 6th round. Muhammad Ali might be known all over the world as the greatest boxer of all time, and that's a title that will come with its fair share of feuds. Nobody gets that famous without developing some enemies along the way. One of his most well-known feuds was with fellow legendary boxer George Foreman in 1974. The fight that gave way to the rivalry was the famous bout in Kinshasa, Zaire, now known as the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and was given the title The Rumble in the Jungle, which has now become as famous as each of the athletes involved. At the time, George Foreman was the undefeated world heavyweight champion, and Muhammad Ali, his challenger, was the former heavyweight champion. In the build-up to the event, Ali was famously goading his opponent and angering the younger Foreman with verbal taunts. During the fight itself, one that 60,000 spectators watched in person and a television audience of approximately 1 billion, setting records at the time for the highest viewed live TV broadcast around the world. Ali used this fight to debut his famous rope-a-dope technique and tired out Foreman's strong haymaker swings by leaning on him, making Foreman bear his weight. During these close encounters, Ali taunted Foreman further, saying things like, "They told me you could punch, George," and "They told me you could punch as hard as Joe Louis." George Foreman revealed in an interview after the fight that he realized partway through that Ali was different from the other boxers he had faced so far in the ring, saying, "I thought he was just one more knockout victim until about the 7th round. I hit him hard to the jaw, and he held me and whispered in my ear, 'That all you got, George?' I realized that this ain't what I thought it was." The fight was finished in the 8th round with Ali knocking Foreman out. All the rage, taunts, and goading really seemed to have come to a head, as the fight was one of the most incredible boxing matches the world had ever seen. There's no doubt that the feud between the 2 fighters leading up to the match was the catalyst that set off the event, and it went down in history. As soon as the fight was over, the 2 athletes made up their differences, and in the years that followed, the 2 actually became friends. So this is one feud that actually had a happy ending. A significantly less happy ending is the feud between Oscar De La Hoya and Fernando Vargas. Now, these 2 really do hate each other. The story of how it all got started is a bit of a strange one. According to Vargas, it all started back in 1993. De La Hoya had come back from the 1992 Olympics, and the world, Vargas included, was looking up to him as an athlete. Vargas, 5 years younger than De La Hoya, was training at the same camp with him in Big Bear. Apparently, the 2 athletes were working out together on a run in the mountain trails. On the icy path, Vargas fell into a snowbank, and he looked up and saw De La Hoya behind him. Vargas reached up his arm for De La Hoya to help him up, but Vargas says that instead of helping him, De La Hoya laughed in his face and carried on. Vargas says that he never forgotten the humiliation of the incident and that he'll never forgive his once hero for treating him that way. However, Oscar De La Hoya claims that he has no idea what Fernando Vargas is talking about. In one particular interview, he said, "He keeps talking about me laughing at him running in the mountains in Big Bear when he fell on his face. I wish it did, but it never happened. I have no idea what Vargas is talking about." Despite saying that he didn't have any idea what his opponent was talking about, that didn't stop De La Hoya from disliking him. When talking about Vargas, he said, "It's going to be fun not only beating the guy I really hate, but also getting paid for it. I'm going to have a ball." So it's safe to say that the two fighters really do hate each other. They talk trash about each other for literally years, not holding back on openly talking about how much they dislike the other. The fight eventually happened, and it was a hell of a fight. The two didn't hold back, each of them trying their hardest to actually hurt the other. Vargas gave De La Hoya a bloody nose in the 5th round, and De La Hoya got him back by opening up a huge cut under Vargas's right eye. The messy and bloody fight went on seemingly forever until the referee had to step in during the 11th round and halt the fight, awarding victory to De La Hoya on a technical knockout. Vargas was furious, and he was even more angry after the fight when he tested positive for steroids. This ended up getting him banned from fighting for 9 months, and he stewed all the way through his suspension. Two fighters continued to hate each other until recently, when each of their sons reportedly became friends. Apparently, the two have been back in contact. There have even been talks of a rematch. Any feud can get two fighters out of a retirement. It might be this one. The last feud we're going to talk about today is between two English fighters, David Haye and Derek Chisora. The two started out having some bad words flung at each other, as boxers often do before they arrange to fight one another. Such verbal contests are common to build up the hype around an upcoming fight. However, this aggression took an unexpected turn to physical violence out of the ring. When Chisora lost to Vitaly Klitschko, he was taking an interview at the post-match press conference. It was then that he was approached by David Haye, who then smashed a bottle over Chisora's head. Reports of this are contended. Some think Haye intentionally bottled him, some think he punched him whilst holding a bottle and it smashed, and others believe it wasn't a bottle at all, but that Haye hit him with a camera tripod. Two ended up brawling, the entire thing caught on camera for the whole world to see. There was outrage in the boxing community, with fans of the sport calling for both athletes to be banned for their behavior, whilst others called for the pair to settle their difference in the ring instead. Some boxing establishments even threatened to boycott the fight entirely, as it was arranged under such thuggish circumstances. The much anticipated fight happened in 2012 in Upton Park. The fight lasted only 8 minutes, which disappointed some fans, but lovers of the sport said that those 8 minutes were some of the most ferocious they'd ever seen. Both men launched at each other, landing blow after blow with an incredibly fast pace that could not have been kept up for a lengthy bout. Haye ended up winning the fight by TKO in the 5th round, and he never let Chisora forget it. That's all we have time for today. Which is your favorite boxing feud? Let us know down in the comments which of your favorite boxers truly hate each other. Don't forget to leave a like down below in this video, and make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with all our latest content. See you next time.